All right, good morning, everybody. We are just getting things kicked off here. It's great to see you all. Thanks for showing up 9 a.m. on a Saturday morning, even if you are in your pajamas at home. Let's just want to give a few more minutes for people to join, and then we're going to get started. Great to see you all. All right, I'm actually going to I'm going to kick things off right now. So thanks everybody for joining our South Florida Academy of AC virtual info session. We've been doing these for years live in Fort Lauderdale and now in Tampa, and this is our very first time doing one. Online via YouTube live stream. So kind of fun for me, kind of exciting, and you don't have to get out of bed on a Saturday morning, even better. All right, so let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. So I'm going to introduce you to South Florida Academy of AC, and we're here to talk about AC, right? Well, yes, we're here to talk about AC, but we're really also here to talk about making money. That's why a lot of our students come to this class. They want to make money. They want a career that they can have for life. They want a job. They want a skilled trade. They want a way to be able to provide for their family. And that's what we do. We develop skilled trades. We give people career options. We give them lives that in many cases they had never seen before, never knew were possible. That's why it's an exciting place to be, and I'm happy to tell you more about it. So let me go over what we're going to cover today. We're going to cover a few things. I'm going to talk about the school and what we teach. I'm going to talk to you about jobs. I'm going to talk to you about what jobs are available, how much those jobs pay, and what the career path looks like as you go on in your career and get more experience. I'm going to talk to you about going into business for yourself. If that's something that is appealing to you, that's something down the road that you can do with this skill. So I'm going to talk about what the pathway to that is. I'm going to do a sample AC lesson. All right. I'm going to kind of explain the types of things that we cover in class and see if it's something you like. See if it's something that resonates with you, something that you think that you could enjoy, not only doing for the duration of the class, but potentially for years to come, right? So we're going to cover that as well. We're going to talk about what you get. So when you actually come to the program, you finish this program, what do you actually get when you finish? Is it a diploma? Is it a certification? What do you walk out the door with? So I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about how much the program costs. We have different programs. I'll address kind of each one and what they cost. I'm going to talk about the different ways to pay for the programs because we do have a few different options. And then I'll take some questions. And if you guys want to save a seat in an upcoming class, you can do that today. I'll give you the link to do that. If you're not ready, it's no problem. You can call us anytime, and we're always here to answer questions for you. And when the time is ready for you, we're here. Okay, so with that said, I'm actually going to kick things off with a few videos. Usually when we do these in person, you can see the classroom. In this case, I've got the picture behind me of our Fort Lauderdale location, but you can't really look around and see the classroom. So I'm just going to play a few quick videos so that you can kind of see a little more what things look like. Just take 2 or 3 minutes and then we'll jump right in.
South Florida Academy of AC teaches complete installation, complete maintenance, and complete repair of residential and light commercial AC systems. The thing about South Florida Academy that makes us unique is we are extremely hands-on. So you can see behind me, guys are on the machines. We've got 24 AC units all around the room, and all day, every day, you are on the machine from morning till night, taking it apart, opening it up, diagnosing, repairing, fixing, replacing, putting it back together over and over again until you can do it in your sleep. That's exactly what we want, and that's what we're proud of. The reason why students love our school is because they want a trade where they know they can make money in a booming industry, and they want to get in, learn a skill, and get out. So because of the nature of our courses, how they're shorter, how they're very hands-on, we have guys and girls here who love learning by doing, and they don't want to be in school for 12 months or 18 months. They want to get in, they want to learn that skill, and they want to get onto the job force, start making money, and get on track to opening up their own business one day.
Our philosophy is that we want to get people jobs, so that what we do is we prepare them for a job interview. We're preparing them by giving them the training that they need. We're also preparing them by giving them their EPA certification, which is necessary to work in the air conditioning business because it's considered a hazardous material. The legacy is that we are the people that you go to get trained properly to get into the air conditioning business.
If someone's interested in the school and they want to get started, we recommend that you come to one of our info sessions. We do info sessions either every Saturday or every other Saturday right here at the school. Otherwise, give us a call and we can talk through all those details over the phone and get you signed up. And when you look at all of our reviews and our 5-star reviews, we're really proud of that. And we work hard every day to focus on the students, teach them the skills, do that job placement to earn those 5 stars.
All right, let's do one more video. Actually, I'm going to show this one and then maybe one after that.
Coming in, I didn't really know a lot about AC. Now that I've been here for the last 3 weeks, I do feel very confident in my skills and abilities moving forward in the AC field. The school's definitely making me.
Sorry about that. The the YouTube video automatically started playing a song. let me start this over for you.
Coming in, I didn't really know a lot about AC. Now that I've been here for the last 3 weeks, I do feel very confident in my skills and abilities moving forward in the AC field. The school's definitely made the material easy to understand. In the mornings, you go through a lecture with the textbooks that they provide for you, and then in the afternoons, you get all the hands-on experience of things that you learned in the lecture in the morning. I would definitely recommend the school to others. It's definitely helped me excel in a way that I never thought that I would be able to.
All right, great. YouTube just wants to play my hype music there. All right, guys. So hopefully that gave you a little bit of kind of a preview of the school, some instructors, some students. I mean, the way that we do things, it's super hands-on. It's high energy. It's hands-on. You know, they're shorter-term programs, so we keep the motivation and the momentum going. Hopefully, you got a little bit of sense of that in class. At the end of this, I'll play one additional video just to give you even more of a sense. But that's kind of who we are. So let's talk about South Florida Academy of AC. So we are a trade school. If you're interested in a new career, if you're interested in a way to make money, if you're interested in building a skill trade, the way that you do that is you go to school. And you've probably looked at a lot of options, you know, whether you looked at online stock trading or making money on TikTok or Instagram. You know, this is a way to build a trade and build a skill and build a career for the rest of your life. The great thing about this is it's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not selling something on Instagram or TikTok or some type of fad. Air conditioning is a huge business, especially in South Florida. We need way more air conditioning techs. There are buildings going up like crazy. Now people are talking about data centers and building data centers. I was reading an article the other day, which I'm happy to share with any of you, that basically said because of the build for data centers, there's an unlimited need for air conditioning technicians, which is awesome to see, right? So when you come to a school like this, you basically develop a skill trade that is something that you possess that no one can take away from you. No one can ever take that away from you for the rest of your life. And there's not enough of it. So a lot of people that we've had come to our class before, you know, their whole lives, they've been begging someone to give them a job or begging someone to take a chance on them and give them a job. And the great thing about developing a skilled trade is that once you have that skill, the tables turn. Suddenly, people are begging you to come work for them. And it's a feeling that a lot of our students have never experienced in their life, but it's an awesome feeling. And that's what it really looks like when you're developing a career and a real skill. So let me move on a little bit and talk about the jobs themselves. So the jobs that are available after you go through South Florida Academy of AC or any AC trade school is typically going to be AC installers and AC technicians. There are some other types of jobs that you can get, counter sales, outside sales. You could even go into a field like flipping homes or construction. There's a lot of different ways that you could go with this knowledge. But for the most part, people are getting jobs as air conditioning installers, which would be putting in new air conditioning systems, and air conditioning technicians, which is fixing and repairing air conditioning systems that are broken. So here's how the pay works. Your first job out of school, you have no experience, you've never worked a day in AC in your life, you just have a diploma. Before this, you were bagging groceries at Publix. Typically, the first job is going to pay $18 to $22 an hour, all right, which is nothing terribly exciting, but that's where people start. And it's in large part because this is a construction related field. And crazy things happen in construction. They don't know who you are. In construction, people get hired and they don't show up on the first day. People get hired and they show up drunk. People get hired and they steal the van and leave it in some parking lot, on cinder blocks with the wheels removed. Like, they don't know who you are. They don't know anything about you, and you don't have any experience. So typically the pay starts at $18 to $22 an hour to test somebody out. But as soon as you start demonstrating that you actually know what you're doing and that you can show up on time and that you're a hard worker, the pay goes up really fast. And what we see is typically 6 months, starting at 6 months, I would say from 6 to 12 months of that first job, people's pay starts rising pretty fast. It pretty quickly goes up to $25 an hour. And then we see it kind of get to that $30 to $35 an hour range once they've developed a little bit of experience. All right, so that's what you're looking at for an air conditioning technician or an air conditioning installer. And that's a nice, solid wage. I mean, you can build a life around that. A lot of companies offer PTO, sick pay. You're in the field, you're working with your hands, you're solving real problems. So it's a very nice life that you can build a career off of and feed a family with. However, we have other students that want to buy Lamborghinis, that want to go make hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars a year. And you're never going to get there if you're working for someone else. The way to do that is to go into business for yourself. And the great thing about air conditioning is it's very possible to go into business for yourself. You go get your contractor's license, you get a truck, you put your name on the side of the truck, and suddenly you're the boss. And I'm going to go over the economics of a service call in a second to explain exactly how much money you can make in this field. But it's more than you'd believe. You can make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year as a one-man show with one man in a truck once you've got your contractor's license. And then down the line, if you want to hire other people, and what we like is if you come back to the school and you hire our graduates and have them work for you, and now they're all making $100,000+ a year in profit for your business, you can stack this up and really build something with massive, massive value. Maybe in a few years you sell it to private equity or whoever wants to buy your AC company. And there's a lot of AC companies up for sale right now at very high prices. And you can walk away with a few $1 million. So I just want to explain the two sides of this. One is, working for somebody else as a skilled tradesman, working to that $30 to $35 an hour level. And the other side of this is once you get some experience going into business for yourself, starting your own AC company, and really the sky's the limit. I mean, if you have some friends who have AC companies, take a look at them. They're not poor. They're doing pretty well. So let me give you a sense for exactly how much money is really in this business. And I think when I go through this, it'll kind of blow your mind. So one thing, oh, good job, brother. Thank you, Thorny. Yeah, this is not easy. It's it's my first YouTube live stream ever. I got the background all set, the video's going on. So trying to do my best here. So let me explain why there's so much money in AC, because I don't think a lot of people really understand this. So when an air conditioning machine breaks, especially in Florida, I would say 50 to 60, maybe even 70% of the time, it's one of two things. Could be the drain line. The drain lines get clogged up all the time because Florida's humid and we've got this kind of gunk that forms in there. Blowing those out's really easy. That's usually like a $200 job. Some companies charge $250. Takes 60 seconds and it's almost all profit. The other big job, the other big problem, like I said, there's two things that usually go wrong. One is drain lines. The other thing is called a capacitor. So a capacitor, it's kind of like a little battery that sits right in here, right behind this panel, okay? And every single AC system, every single one, has a capacitor. So think of all the millions of families, the millions of businesses, the millions of air conditioning units, and the millions of capacitors, because there's one in every single AC system. And just like a battery, they just don't last forever. And when a capacitor goes bad, the system won't start. And it's a phone call to the AC company. Hey, my AC is not running. I need someone to come out to fix it. And these capacitors go bad so frequently that I would say that and drain line blowouts are our two biggest call requests. All right. So let me talk to you about the economics of a capacitor here. A capacitor is, let me see if I can actually pull up a picture for you. Next time I'm going to have one in person so I can show you. Capacitor AC. Let's look at a picture. Yeah, this is a capacitor. All right, next time I'm going to come with my show and tell, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to have one to hold. But let's do this. You know what? I can even do that. That's pretty cool. All right, so this is a capacitor. That's it. You can see there's not much here. Just like a normal AA battery that has like a plus side and a negative side, this one it's a little bit different. It has 3 sides. You can see 1, 2, 3. And when that capacitor dies, it's the first thing we check, by the way. When we go to a service call and something, the system's not starting, most likely drain line or capacitor. So it's one of the first things you check. It's very easy to check. But if it's bad, and it's easy to tell if it's bad, we teach you how to know if it's bad. You just unplug 1, 2, oh, you can't see my mouse. You unplug 1, 2, 3 wires, take out the old one, throw it in the trash, grab a new one from the truck, bring it in, plug in 1, 2, 3 wires, and you're good to go. And do you know how much companies are charging to replace a capacitor? I would say the going rate right now is $400. And some companies are charging $500. We had a student in class about 6 months ago. I'm not going to say what company he worked for because I don't want to blow up their situation. But they were charging $650 to replace a capacitor. And do you know how long it takes to do this? It's disconnecting 3 wires and grabbing one from the truck. I mean, the whole repair takes a minute and a half. This company's charging $650 to do that. And do you know how much this capacitor costs at the supply house? Here, I don't know if you can see my screen. Take a look at this. $16, all right? And these are priced expensively because you're buying online. You're not buying from an AC supply house. But we buy them in bulk from China for like 10 to 15 bucks a piece. So this is a part. It's $10, $15 from the supply house. And you've got guys running around changing capacitors for $400, $500. It's a 2-minute repair. It's other than drain lines, by far the most common repair. Imagine how many of those you can do in a day. Think about the profit level. You're charging $400. Your cost of parts is $10. Takes you 2 minutes to do. That's why guys love being in the AC business. And there's so many of these. They're going bad in every single AC system all the time. You can buy the best capacitor in the world. No capacitor is going to last forever. So just, next time you're driving, look at all the buildings and think to yourself, that house has a capacitor, that house has a capacitor, that one, that one, that one. Millions of capacitors, all going bad, and they're all just dollar signs and profit signs every time you can change one. So that is why people want to get into the AC business. All right, let me, I can get rid of my little screen here. Okay. And if you run the numbers, and usually when I'm doing this, in person, I'll actually get on the whiteboard and I'll draw this out. But, if you imagine that $400 in profit for a single capacitor, if you could do 2 a day, that's nearly $1,000 a day in profit. So just run the math. If you want to work on weekends, that's 30 days a month. That's $30,000, almost $30,000 in profit a month, changing capacitors. It's wild. And then, I talked before about coming back to the school, hiring our graduates. And now you've got a few guys out in the field working for you, and they're changing capacitors. So that's how this business, really, Bruce can't wait to start. Yeah, Bruce, just think of all the money you're going to be making. Anyway, that's why people get into this business, right? That's the fun part, and that's how you can really grow. I want to say a few caveats with that. Number one, you can't just finish school and go be a licensed contractor, okay? You have to have experience first, and then you have to take your contractor's exam, and then you can become a licensed contractor. So it's not like from day one you're going to be making $1,000 a day. It doesn't work like that. You're going to go work somewhere first. You're going to get experience. You're going to slowly build up that wage. And then down the line, if you want to, then you can go into business for yourself. Okay. I am going to talk about AC All-Stars, which is a way which is a partnership that the school has with an AC company that kind of gets you closer to that profit level. I'll discuss that at the end. We call it like the self-employment program, but I'll hold off on that for right now. All right, so that gives you a sense for how much money you can make in this business, what the wages are like, what jobs are there. There's hiring going on like crazy. The Bureau of Labor Statistics, which is the government organization that tracks jobs and employment, they say that every year there's 40,000 new AC jobs that can't be filled because there's not enough AC techs to fill them. So there's this huge supply and demand imbalance where we need AC techs and there's just not enough. And that's why your wage goes up fast too. Because if you're working for one company and they're paying you $20 an hour, there's a guy down the street that says, hey, we need guys, I'll pay you 25, I'll pay you 30, I'll pay you 35, and then there's that competition for your skill because again, you have that skilled trade, which is in demand. And that's one of the beautiful things about really having a skill that a lot of our students have never experienced in their life, and it makes sense because if that guy can hire you and you're running around town replacing capacitors for $400 a pop, yeah, he'll pay you 30, he'll pay you 35, he'll pay you 40. He doesn't care. Like, think about how much profit he'd be losing if he didn't have you taking that service call. So anyway, that's a little bit about that. Let me do a quick AC lesson. We're going to try this with the live stream and see if this works. Usually what I'm doing is I'm pointing to this demonstration unit behind me, but we're going to try this with the live stream and see if I can still convey the same lesson virtually. So we talked about making money. Let's change gears a bit and let's do a sample AC. Let's see how we're doing on time, 9:20. Okay, not bad. Let's do a sample AC lesson. So if you can follow this, then you're going to be fine in the class because this is about as complex as our training gets, okay? So I want to share this and just make sure it's something that you understand, something you feel comfortable with, something that's interesting to you. And if it is, we're good. So I'm going to do a sample lesson like we would in class, and I'm going to tell you how air conditioning works. And I'm going to tell you how air conditioning works in 5 minutes. All right. And that's also one of the reasons why we can make the class so short is because we're good at teaching and we do a lot of hands-on stuff. So how does AC work? So AC is actually pretty magical. It's really something incredible that we can make cold air. Like if I put my hand up and I feel for my vent up there's cold air coming out of the ceiling, which is amazing that humankind was able to figure this out. And if you think to yourself, like, how do we do that, right? It's not immediately obvious. Obviously it includes electricity. So we're taking electricity and we're turning electricity into cold air, but it doesn't, like, as I think about that, it's kind of hard to understand. Like, I can understand how we make hot air. Like, I can understand how a toaster works, I get that. But how would I take electricity and make cold air? And if I look, maybe I'll use this to point. Like, if I look behind me at this machine, there's really nothing that jumps out at me that would give me the answer. Like, I see some sheet metal. If in here, there's a fan. There's a lot of wires, but nothing in there is like obvious, like, oh, that's where the cold air comes from. And here's the secret. The answer is actually not this right here. That's not where the cold air comes from. The secret is actually, let's see if I can do this here. Nope, this way. Nope. Right down here. This is the secret. This stuff, that tank you see, that's called refrigerant. And that's the part that makes everything work. That is the miraculous discovery of humankind that allows AC to work. And then all this stuff, this whole machine is just a machine to allow this tank of gas to do its job. All right, so let's talk a little bit about that gas. So we call it refrigerant. It used to be called Freon. Now we use a more professional term. We call it refrigerant. The great thing about refrigerant is that it's kind of like water. It can be a liquid like water. It can be a gas. Water you can boil, turn into steam. So it can be a liquid, it can be a gas, but it doesn't act the same way water does. And we get into this a little bit more in class, but the really cool thing about refrigerant is that when it's a liquid, it's room temperature. So if I was to, oops, I'm getting my directions confused. If I was to touch the side of this tank, it would just feel room temperature. But if I opened up the nozzle and I let it spray out, it would feel really, really, really cold. Because when it's a liquid, it's room temperature. But as soon as it goes to a gas, as soon as I spray it, it gets super, super cold. For the purposes of this video, let's just say it gets just above freezing, like 33 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's pretty cool. And we talk in class about why it does that, but honestly, you don't really have to know why it does that. You know, the chemistry side of things, you don't need to know that in order to fix an AC unit, but you need to just believe it does. Like God made it that way, that's how it works. When it's a liquid, it's room temperature, but as soon as I spray it, it gets super cold. And I do have like a Windex bottle here to demonstrate. So let's pretend that this was refrigerant in here, right? As a liquid like this, room temperature. But the moment that I spray it, okay, the moment that I spray it, I turn it into a vapor or a gas, it immediately gets freezing cold. So now that we can do that, all we have to do is put that in our system here with some intelligently placed fans, and we can take that coldness, we sprayed it, we made coldness when we vaporized it, when we turned it from a liquid to a gas. If I can put some fans over that coldness and blow that coldness into my room, I feel cold air. So here's where it gets a little tricky because it's a little difficult to see, but basically what happens is right here, right there, there's a little tiny hole in the line, and we're pushing that refrigerant through that little tiny hole. And the same way if you had a garden hose and you've got water going through the hose and it just kind of falls out, if I take my thumb and put my thumb over that hose and I make the hole smaller, what's going to happen? The hose is going to spray, right? So if I push something, if I push a liquid through a little tiny hole, it's going to spray just like a hose would. And that's what we do here. So I wonder if I can even make this picture a little bigger. Let's see if I can be smart and figure this out. Oh yeah, that looks good. That's cool. All right, so we have a little tiny hole right here, and the refrigerant gets pushed through that little tiny hole. And as it goes through that little tiny hole, it sprays. And what happens when we spray refrigerant, when we turn it into a gas, a vapor, is what it's called, it gets super cold. So now inside this line, the line's going up like this, we've got this really cold refrigerant in there. And then the refrigerant goes through this line into this box, and right over here, see this piece? That's what's behind the box. It's very hard to see in this picture, but it's just a copper line. It's my line, and it just goes back and forth like a snake. So all that's happening in this box is that copper line is going back and forth like this. Okay, that really cold, that like ice cold line that we made by spraying refrigerant. And then what do? We just put a fan on top of it, and we're sucking in the hot air from the room. The fan is blowing that hot air from the room right over that really cold line. And what comes out the other side? Cold air. That's it. That's how air conditioning works. We take refrigerant, we spray it. When we spray it, it gets super cold. And to spray it, it's not something complicated. It's literally a tiny hole, just like a garden hose. Like we just make a little tiny hole, push that refrigerant through that hole, it sprays, it gets really cold, and then that refrigerant in that copper line you see, we just run that copper line back and forth in this box and put a fan over it. That's how we get cold air. All right. So if you could understand that lesson a little bit, I know, that went fast and we just kind of did surface level, but if you can understand that, you're going to do great in the class because we talked about liquid versus gas or liquid versus vapor, right? You have to understand the concept that something could be in different states, like water could be liquid, water could also be steam or vapor if we boiled it. So you have to understand that concept. The other concept you have to understand is pressure. So in order to push the refrigerant through that hole, we need pressure pushing it through. Like on my Windex bottle, my hand is the pressure that's causing the refrigerant in this case to go up this line and out the nozzle, right? So my hand is causing the pressure. Well, on my AC system, my hand is not there to do anything, so I need something to push it, so we use a pump. And if you look right here, this whole thing right there, oops, oh man, this is hard because it's like backwards like a beer, but this whole thing right there is a pump. So the pump, and the amazing thing about this is once you actually identify all the different parts, you realize how simple this is. There's like nothing here. That's a pump. It's pumping the refrigerant through a little tiny hole right there. Then the refrigerant goes up this line, back and forth in this little ice box I made. I put a fan on top. The fan blows the air over the cold icebox, that cold line, and I get cold air out the other side. All right, so that is how it works. I'm just looking at some of the comments. Fully recommended turning this. Hey, thanks, Keith. That's nice. So that is our sample lesson for how refrigeration works. Thank you for bearing with me while I did this virtually. You can imagine in person it's a little bit easier. Okay, so that's our sample lesson. Let me shift a little bit and talk about the class. So what we do is super, super hands-on. You can see behind me. So this is like a live look at, let's see if I can figure this out. This is a live look at what our classroom looks like, just a snapshot of one of the walls. But everybody's on their own machine. In the morning, we start out usually with like an hour of lecture. And then for the rest of the day, you're on the machine learning by doing, taking it apart, taking out all the parts, diagnosing, replacing, testing, probing, putting it back together again and again and again all day long. And that's how we're able to teach so quickly. And that's, I think, why the students have the success that they do. So that's how we teach. Let's talk about what you get when you actually come through the program. So you get a few different things. Number one is you get the knowledge. You get the knowledge of AC installation, service, repair, maintenance for these type of units. And these small split systems, this is what's in 99% of residential homes and a lot of businesses too. A lot of businesses have units that look just like this. So your potential customers are not just all the houses in South Florida, but all those businesses too. So what you get at the end of the program, you get the knowledge. That's number one. Number two is you get your trade school diploma. So that means when you go apply for a job, you don't have to come in and say, oh, I don't know anything, like teach me. You say, no, I was trained. Like I got my diploma. I went to school. I know what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm not ready to go, do an install by myself on my first day, but I went to school. I know what a compressor is. I know what a capacitor is. I know what superheat and subcooling is. I know all this stuff. And we teach pretty well, I would say. So you actually come out knowing a lot. So you get the knowledge, you get the trade school diploma. And we are a trade school under the Florida Department of Education. So it's like a real trade school diploma, number two. Number three is you get something called your EPA certification. So because of the nature of refrigerant and how it can be a little bit dangerous, you have to get a certain certification to be able to handle it. You're not allowed to work in HVAC without that EPA certification. So we do that. It's part of the program. You'll get it. If you don't pass the test, we'll just give you the test again and again and again until you pass. So everybody will get their EPA certification as long as you keep taking the test. And I want everybody to get it. If you don't, I would say 90% of people pass the first time, and those 10% that don't pass the second, they come in, we discuss what they got wrong, review it with them, make sure they understand, give the test again. I would say that another 9% pass on time on the second attempt, and then maybe there's like 1% of all the test takers that need to take it a third time, but that's extremely rare. Okay, so you'll get your EPA coming through the program. All right, so the trade school diploma, the EPA certification, tools. So when you finish our program, we give you, so you'll use tools in class, like what you see behind me, like those are the classroom tools that you'll use. But when you leave, we give you a brand new set of tools that you can take with you. And when you go to your first job, you've got those tools ready to go. They're not the like $1,000 digital Bluetooth tools. You can save up some money and buy those as you go on in your career, but they're the entry level tools. It's like using a pencil versus like to do math versus like a, fancy calculator. Like we give you the standard basic analog tools, which a lot of techs, still use in the field. Anyway, so tools. We give you manifold gauge, multimeter, capacitor meter, hand tools. I think there's one or two other things in there. So you get the knowledge, trade school diploma, EPA certification, the tools, AC helpline. So this is pretty cool too. So when you finish, we give everybody like a really slimmed down version of the textbook, like super slimmed down. That's like all the procedures of exactly what to do if this goes wrong, if that goes wrong. When you get into the house, what's the first thing you check, second thing you check? So it's super helpful to bring on jobs. But in that book is a phone number called our AC helpline. And if you're on a job and you get stuck, we say, don't call your boss and look stupid. Call us. Call the school's student graduate AC helpline, and we will walk you through that repair. And we'll usually say, hey, take a picture, show me your gauges, take a picture of the line set, what are your readings, what are your measurements, and you'll text it back to us, send us the pictures, and we'll walk you through step by step whatever you need to do for that system. To be honest, not a lot of people use it because I think we do train people pretty well. And it's really, most of these repairs are not that complicated, but it's there if you want it. It's just that peace of mind that, you know, when you leave, you're not all on your own. You've got the school, like with an AC helpline, there to walk you through any repair that you need. So you get that. You get access to AC All-Stars. So I was talking before about going into business for yourself, and I want to address that again. A lot of our students really want to go into business for themselves. They you know, making $30, $35 an hour is cool, but they want to make $150,000 a year. And you can do that in AC, but you need experience first, and you need to become a licensed contractor. At least if you want to do it legally, you need to become a licensed contractor. And the amount of time it takes to do that varies. It can take as much as 4 years of experience until you're able to sit for your contractor's exam. So we have students who want to make a lot of money, $150,000 a year, and they want to work, you know, more independently. They don't want to work for somebody else, but they have to wait 4 years until they can sit for their contractor's exam. So we have something that's kind of in the middle. And it's a partnership that we did with a AC company called AC All-Stars. And here's how it works. And this is one of the benefits you get by going through the program. The deal that AC All-Stars makes is they say, if you go through South Florida Academy of AC, so we know that you were trained the right way. You're not just coming in off the street with no idea what you're doing. You went to South Florida Academy of AC and you get just 1 year of experience, not 4 like the contractor's exam requires. You get just 1 year of experience. We will hire you at AC All-Stars, and we will put you on a 90% commission program. So that's the benefit of that. So that means rather than working for $25, $30, $35 an hour, you're on this big commission program with this great incentive where you're keeping a lot of what you make. And the way that it works is you're still their employee, you're their W-2 employee, you're on their license, their contractor's license, you're on their workers' comp insurance. But when you go do a job, and let's say you charge $400, and you can set your own prices, and let's say you charge $400 for that capacitor. If you were working for, you know, in a normal HVAC situation, you might make $30 an hour for that call. So that whole call, you made $30. But if you're with AC All-Stars on a 90% commission rate, and you charged $400, you're going to get 90% of that $400, which is about $360. So there's some like details and nuance there, and if you want to talk to AC All-Stars, I can put you in touch with them. But that's why a lot of people want to join that program after they get a year of experience, because to change a capacitor working for someone else, you make your hourly rate, you know, maybe $35. To do it on AC All-Stars, you might make $350. So it's a really, really cool program, and it's one of the huge advantages of coming to South Florida Academy. We have people who already know AC. They've been working in AC for years, and they just want to get on AC All-Stars. So they come to our program, and they come in, they're like, I already know all this. You guys can't teach me anything. I know it, but I want to do AC All-Stars. I realize how great that program is. So if I got to, you know, pay for this program, for this class, that's what I'll do just to get on AC All-Stars. So that's really cool. As well. There's obviously a lot of details there and stuff. I can put you in touch with Steve at AC All-Stars and he can explain everything. But that's a really cool benefit to coming through the school. And by the way, while you're working with AC All-Stars, your clock is ticking for your 4 years of experience to get your contractor's license, right? So let's say that you finish the school, you got 1 year of experience, then you join AC All-Stars. Now, if you stay at AC All-Stars for 3 years, you've now got your 4 years of experience. You can go get your own contractor's license if you want. Okay, so pretty cool program, and happy to talk more about that when the time is right for you. All right, so going back to what you get the knowledge, you get the trade school diploma, you get the EPA certification, you get the tools, you get the AC helpline, you get access to AC All-Stars, job placement services. So we do everything that we can to help you guys get jobs. We hand make a professional HVAC resume for everybody in class. We send out your details, your phone number, your resume to hundreds of AC contractors. We facilitate interviews, and sometimes we're putting in letters of recommendation, making phone calls, phone calls of recommendation for you. We're identifying jobs. A lot of times in the weeks following graduation, we will find jobs on Craigslist, Indeed, and we'll be like emailing or SMSing those jobs to our grads, like saying, hey, found this, apply to this today. So we're really trying as hard as we can to help you guys get jobs. We want you to be successful. We don't just send you out into the world and say, okay, good luck, thanks for joining us. Like we're a partner in that long-term search. We can't guarantee jobs, right? Because keep in mind, I can teach you AC, but I can't teach people how to tuck in their shirt, how to show up on time, things like that. So some of it has to do with you too. But yeah, as far as the AC side of things, that we got covered. And with the job placement assistance, we do everything we can. I put in letters of recommendation all the time for students, helping them get that dream job. Okay. Let's see. And then the last thing I would say that you get is you get a network of the other students that you learned with. And that's really invaluable too. A lot of people think like, oh yeah, like, that's maybe not as big of a deal, but it kind of is, because if you were to go get an AC job today, even if you could, it's hard to get an AC job with no training, but even if you could, you're kind of all on your own. And if you don't like that job or you're not getting along with your boss, you really don't have anywhere to go. But if you go through a program like this and there's 20 students who you became friends with and exchanged phone numbers with, if you get a job after class, for example, and you're not liking it, like maybe you're not getting along with your boss, just text everybody from class. Say, hey, I'm working for this and that company. Boss is a jerk. What about you guys? Where are you guys working? Are you hiring over there? And then your buddy chimes in like, oh yeah, I'm working for whatever, for Lindstrom, and they're great. They're awesome. They're hiring. They pay really well, great benefits, are nice guys. I'll put in a good word for you. Come join us. So having that like connection to those people in class is also, I think, really valuable too. All right, so that's what you get. The knowledge, the trade school diploma, EPA certification, the tools, the AC helpline, the access to AC All-Stars, the job placement assistance, and that kind of network of other students and instructors, that through the program. Okay. So let's change gears again. Last thing, let's talk about the classes, the dates, how the programs work, and how much they cost. So we're now in Fort Lauderdale and Tampa. So there might be people on this live stream from the Fort Lauderdale area and the Tampa area. You can see the dates on our website. So if you go to sfaac.com, and then click on courses, you can see all of the upcoming dates. Let me review it. So for Fort Lauderdale, the next weekend class starts on February 7th coming up, and the next full-time class is on March 2nd. For Tampa, the next Bruce capacitor changes easy. Yeah, man, you'll be a rock star capacitors by the time you're done with our class. The next weekend class in Tampa is February 14th. The next full-time class in Tampa is March 16th. And so we structure classes like that. We do a full-time version Monday through Fridays, 4 weeks, every day, Monday through Friday for 4 weeks from 9 a.m. until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then we leave that last hour from 4 to 5 is an hour that if you want to go home, you can go home, or if you need some extra time on the machines, you have extra questions for the instructor, you can stick around and get that information. Okay, so I'm going to say 9 to 4, but really it's 9 to 5 if you need or want to stay that extra hour. So that's the full-time class, 9 to 4 for 4 weeks, Monday through Friday. The weekend class is for people who either have a full-time job, so they can't go Monday through Friday, or maybe they already know a lot about AC. Or they were they have electrical experience or construction experience. So they kind of want to do it a little bit faster. They're not coming in from scratch. So we have a weekend option. The weekend option is Saturdays and Sundays, also for 4 weeks. From 9 to 5, you have to stay that last hour. So from 9 to 5 on both days, Saturdays and Sundays for 4 weeks. So the total number of days in the weekend class is only 8 days, a lot less than the full-time class. So again, that's a situation where maybe you already know a little bit about AC, you already have some electrical experience, you kind of want to go through a bit faster. The weekend class could be right for you. If you're coming in with no experience whatsoever, I would highly recommend the full-time class, but you can do either one. I'll let you do either one. I just want you to be aware that the weekend class is going to move faster than the full-time class would, and we're not going to get to practice each thing as much. So in the full-time class, you may change, 25 capacitors, and in the weekend class, you might only change 10 capacitors. All right, so just keep that in mind. The cost of, and by the way, other than that, the programs are almost identical. The curriculum is almost identical. In the weekend class, I think that we don't cover heat pumps as much. We discuss it, but we don't get into it as much. I think that's the only programmatic difference between the full-time class and the weekend class. Okay. The cost of the full-time class is $7,995, and so the cost of the full-time class is $7,995. The cost of the weekend class is $5,995. All right. So in terms of the cost, I don't know if that sounds like a lot to you or a little to you. In the grand scheme of things, I'm going to say it's really not that much, considering we're talking about careers where you can make hundreds of thousands of dollars, $5,000-$7,000 for a program that gives you the access to that. I really don't think is that much compared to the cost of a 4-year degree and students coming out with hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loan debt. A $5,000 to $7,000 program, really, in my opinion, is not that much. We're pretty much in line with where the other trade schools are priced, maybe even a little bit less in some cases. So I feel good about the pricing, especially all the things that are included and how happy students are when they come out. But if you don't have that money, it doesn't matter how high it is. It might as well be $1 million. If you don't have $5,000, then you're out of luck. So let me talk about the different ways that you can pay for class. We have a few ways that we do it. One is if you do want to pay in full up front, cash, check, credit card, whatever, you can just pay. The next way that we do it is you can get a loan through the school. So, and here's where I'm going to get into some of the details with the credit and stuff. If you have good credit, you can get a loan through the school with as little as $150 down. So you'd only have to put down $150, and if you have good credit, you can get a loan from the school for the rest. If you have bad credit, we ask that, first we say get a cosigner. So maybe mom or grandma or someone is willing to be a cosigner on the loan and their credit's good, that works too. $150 down will make you the loan. If you have bad credit and you don't have a cosigner, we'll still give you a loan, but we're going to ask that you put some more money down, right? Because, let's be honest, if you've got bad credit and no cosigner, the chance of us getting paid back is obviously less. So we ask that you put more money down, not just $150. We're going to ask that you put down $2,500. Okay. So we'll still make the loan to you, but you've got to put down more money. And it's as little as, if you want to put down more and make your loan smaller, you're always welcome to do that. If you don't have good credit and you don't have $2,500, that's where some of our grant providers might be a fit for you. Right now, it's only available in Broward County and Palm Beach County. So for our Tampa class, we don't have this option right now. We've been working towards it. It does not look like we're going to get it anytime soon. But that organization is called CareerSource. So if you live in Broward County or Palm Beach County, you can look up an organization called CareerSource. If you live in Broward, the website this is literally the website, getcash4school.com. All right, so if you live in Broward, you would go to getcash4school.com, and there's a big button there that says get started. You'll put in your information. If you live in Palm Beach County, they're going to make you go in person. There's no fancy website to get started. You have to go in person. You have to look up a CareerSource location and go. If you get that grant, they pay for 100% of the cost, every dollar. You don't have to pay anything. The people who typically qualify, chronic unemployment, very low income, homeless, those type of situations. But if that's maybe you, this is a great opportunity to get the entire program paid for. It's through the state of Florida, and it's awesome. Sometimes they will drag their feet a little bit. I've heard that they don't tell people no, they just keep you waiting and waiting and waiting. So if you talk to them and they're like, come in for an orientation and you're qualified, that's great. Or they might say, well, we need more information and send us more documentation. And before you know it, it's been 6 months and you've been working with them and you still don't know if you're accepted or not. That probably means you're not accepted. And again, if you want to call us, I can give you some more information about CareerSource. So those are the options. You can pay in full. You can get a loan with good credit for as little as $150 down. If you have bad credit, try to get a cosigner. If you can't, then it would be still a loan with $2,500 down. And if you don't have that, then I recommend CareerSource. And if none of those options work for you, give us a call and we'll discuss what we may be able to do. We're not allowed to give tuition discounts because everything is registered through the state of Florida, but we will try to understand your situation, see what we might be able to make work. I mean, if there's somebody who really wants to do this class, I want to find a way to be able to get them in the class. I do, because if this is your dream and this looks awesome to you, working with your hands, being out in the field, helping people, making lots of money, I want to get you there. Okay. Great. So with that said, I'm actually going to open it up to questions at this point. Let's see, 50 minutes. Wow, I talked for a long time. I'm sorry to make you guys spend a whole hour looking at me. But if you guys have any questions, put them in and let me put them in the chat and I'll try to address them right now. So let's see. Thank you, Tony, for good job, brother. It's my dream to be an AC professional. Hell yeah, I love it. Bruce, can't wait to get started. Keith, great. HVAC's a great decision. Bruce says, great teacher, nice job. Okay, cool. Bruce, capacitor change is easy. I agree with that. Does your academy accept Pell Grant from FAFSA? No, we do not. Okay, unfortunately, we don't. And the reason is that our program is not long enough to qualify for that. And it really stinks. And I wish that we could. But considering that we're a 4-week program, the government still views us as too short of a program to accept FAFSA and Pell Grants and all that. So unfortunately, we do not. But here's the upside, all right? If you go to a program that's 10 months, 12 months, some are 18 months, and they accept a Pell Grant for maybe like $5,000, that's cool, but that means that you're in school for 12 or 18 months. Number one, nobody wants to be in school for 12 or 18 months. Like by month 6, you're already bored, most likely. At least I was in school. And the other thing is that's a lot of time that you're not working. If you go to a shorter program, like a 4-week program like this, all of those months that you would have been in school somewhere else, you could be working. So think about all the money that you could be making by working instead of being in school for all that time. And our philosophy is this: we want to teach you the amount that you need to get that first job. And we're not going to teach you every single... There's crazy stuff up north, boilers and furnaces, and there's, commercial applications. People spend their whole lives studying HVAC. So we kind of have to draw the line somewhere and say, do we want to teach everything and take 2 years to just teach absolutely everything? Or do we want to be really, really good at the fundamental stuff, the hands-on fundamental capacitors, fan motors, leaks, refrigerant charges, all the stuff that you're really doing in South Florida on a day-to-day basis? And how much can we condense that? And that's what we said, that's what we're going to do. So we're going to give you the information to get you that first job and make you look like an all-star. But you're going to continue your education as you go. All right. There's plenty of complicated HVAC applications out there that you can continue to learn and pursue later on down the field. But I don't want to keep you in school for 12 or 18 months teaching you all that stuff if it might not even be what you want. There's a lot of ways you can specialize. Why would I teach you every single specialty and keep you in school? I'd rather have you learn for 4 weeks, get you out in the field, have you actually making money, learning what you like, don't like, and then when you want to specialize, then you can learn on the job. A lot of times you can even go to the manufacturer. Like you see Carrier up here, so they've got specialized systems. Carrier holds the training. You don't even have to pay for trade school. Carrier will teach you for free because they want you to install their systems. Anyway, can I use FAFSA? Yeah, that's another question about FAFSA. Like I said, unfortunately, no FAFSA, but we do. So FAFSA is like federal student loans. So we also do student loans, just non-FAFSA. All right, so it's a student loan from us. And a lot of times FAFSA is relevant because you're going to like a bigger, longer program that might have $20,000, $40,000, $100,000 in tuition. So you need, a federal, because no one's going to lend you $100,000. With us, it's actually a pretty small amount, like a $5,000 loan. It's just really not that big. So we find that we don't really need FAFSA for that. Like we'll just, the school can just make the $5,000 loan. Any other questions before I wrap up here? All right, if any more come in, I will jump on those. There's actually like a 3-second delay in the video, so I can't see the questions right now, but if I see them come up, I will address those. But yeah, that's it. That's the program. It's awesome. I love it. It's super fast paced. It's super engaging. It's super hands on. It's not a 12-month program where it's like drudgery every morning having to go to school. It's like you get to go to school. Like, what are we going to learn today? Every day is something new. Every day is exciting. And I think if you go online and you look up our reviews, just Google South Florida Academy of AC, especially the Fort Lauderdale location, because that's the one that's been around for 15 years. Look at the reviews there and look at it's like over 1,000 reviews with literally 5.0 stars. So we're super proud of that. So I recommend you take a look at that. All right. With that said, if you want to save a seat in class, here's how it works. You sign the enrollment agreement, pay $150. That $150 saves your seat. Okay. And then that seat is yours. If you want to move that $150 deposit to a future class, you can. But the $150 is non-refundable because I want to make sure you really know you want to go. If I make it refundable, then everyone's going to put down $150 and the class is going to fill up in 2 seconds. What does payment plan look like? Good question. So it depends on how much you put down and whether it's the weekend or full-time, because they're all different prices. So let's say that you went to the full-time program, which is the more expensive one, and you put down $2,500, okay? So that means your loan is going to come out to like just over $5,000. Typically, and we can be a little bit flexible, like if you want to make the payments higher, lower, whatever. Typically, we say a 3-year loan. We set the interest rate based on your credit score a little bit, but I would say that on average, the payments come out to about $180 a month per month for 3 years. And if you want to pay it down sooner, we would gladly let you pay it down sooner. You're more than welcome to pay it down sooner. How much do I have to pay if I choose going in weekend? So it depends on the credit score. If you have good credit, you can pay as little as $150. If you have good credit, you can pay as little as $100. Now, we would love if you paid more, like your loan. It's better for us. We get more money up front and your loan would be smaller. So you're welcome to pay more. But if you have good credit, you can pay as little as $150. If you don't have good credit, that's where we ask for $2,500 because you don't have good credit. Or get a cosigner. Then if you have a cosigner with good credit, that counts too. But bad credit and no cosigner, then we ask for $2,500 up front. If you don't have $2,500 and you don't have good credit, that's where we would say, hey, check out CareerSource. Maybe they can help you. But if you live in Tampa and there is no CareerSource, just call us and let's figure out, okay, well, what do you have? What can we do here? Like I said, we can't do discounts. One way or another, you have to pay for class, but who knows? Maybe we can get creative. Again, if you want to be in the class, we want to find a way to get you there. All right, so if you want to sign up, $150, sign the enrollment agreement, and that seat is yours. If you want to move it to a future class, you can, but we will hold that seat in that class for you. I'm going to put in the chat right now the link to sign up. Okay, so I just put how many weeks? I just put the link in the chat. So you would click that, you fill in your information, you select which location you want, you select which class start date you want, fill that in, and then it's going to send you an email for like a DocuSign. And you sign the enrollment agreement. Once you do that, it's going to ask you to pay the $150. Once you've done that and you pay the $150, boom, you're in. All the stuff as far as payment plans, how you're going to pay for the rest of it, you don't have to know that today. You really don't even have to know that until literally the day you start class. And typically what we do is like 2 weeks before class starts, we call everybody and we say, hey, Marcus, we're so excited you're joining us. I see that you're signed up. It's going to be awesome. Have you thought about how you want to pay yet? And that's where Marcus says, well, I don't know, what's the deal with the payment plans again? How does that work? And we say, okay, here's the breakdown. Here are your options. Let's check your credit, all those things. How many weeks? 4 weeks. 4 weeks. And it's awesome. It is the coolest 4 weeks you've ever had. And believe, if you're on this machine for 4 weeks straight, Monday through Friday, 9 to 4, all day, every day, you're going to know that machine inside and out. You're going to know it really, really well. And keep in mind, with other programs that might be 12 months, you're not on machines every day. A lot of time is reading the textbook and sitting in the quote unquote classroom. Our classroom has the machines. At other schools, like there's a classroom with just desks and a whiteboard. And then maybe on Wednesdays, they go to the quote unquote to the lab down the hall. And in the lab, there's some AC machines where you can practice what you've been learning. All right, we do it totally differently. Our classroom is the lab. Every day you're in the lab. Every day you're on the machines, all day, almost all day. So pretty cool. All right, so I put the link in the chat. You can click on there. You can also call us anytime and we'll send you the link. All right, guys. So if that's it, I'm kind of going to wrap up. I'm going to show one short little video. It's another 2 or 3 minutes. It's kind of cool. We had this company come in and do a profile on us. They identify like really cool, just things going on in the trades, like electrical, HVAC, plumbing and stuff. So they identify like cool programs, cool jobs, and they saw us. And so they wanted to come in and do a profile piece. So I'm just going to play a few minutes from that. And then I'm going to wrap up. All right. So thank you all for coming. I really hope we see you in class. Keep in mind, like anything worth doing in life takes an investment and it takes some time. Yeah, I mean, everybody's on TikTok, everybody's on Instagram, and it looks like it's so easy to make $1 million. Like everybody's got Lamborghinis and hot wives and all this stuff, and it all looks so easy. But people spend years like spinning, running around in circles, trying to chase, you know, big money, and they're just not getting anywhere. And the answer is it's not that easy. The get rich quick stuff doesn't work. You can spend 20 years trying to get rich quick. And before you know it, you know, 20 years have gone by and you're still nowhere. If you want to make a lot of money, if you want to have success in life, you need to invest in yourself. You need to do it the right way, you know, and the right way is getting an actual skill, getting actual training, going and getting an actual job, going to work every day, building up that experience. And then not even 20 years later, just 2 years later, you'll look back and say, damn, like, I really got something here. Like companies need me. People need me. I can start my own company soon if I want. Companies are fighting over hiring me. I really know my stuff, you know? So it's a good feeling to have. And this is where it starts. You start with getting trained. All right. So let me play this video to close things out. And then I'm going to wish you guys all a great weekend and call us anytime. Our number's on the website. Sometimes I pick up, sometimes my staff picks up, and we're here for you for whatever you need. All right. So let's play this video and then we'll head out.
Okay, so what's your name and what are you guys working on here?
Hey, my name's Anthony, and we're basically running refrigerant from the unit into our machine. So that's what Jason just did here. That green machine is called a recovery machine. And the reason why it's called a recovery machine is because we're obviously recovering that refrigerant into it to be able to put it into this recovery tank. What that does is it allows us to go ahead and repair the unit. So rather than you know, us going into the unit, opening up a line and having a bunch of refrigerant kind of pouring into our face, which we actually got to experience. Very cold, by the way. It's almost like touching sub-zero ice, like liquid nitrogen.
Okay, cool.
So he went through that process already. He already brought it through the machine. He's doing what's called a vacuum pump right now, or vacuuming out the line to make sure that there's no air inside the line. It's what's called a non-condensable. We can't condense air, therefore it creates problems in our units, which actually could be a reason why we need to go and repair. But sucking that out, after that suction or after that vacuuming process, he's going to hook that middle line, which is coming from what's called our manifold gauge set, into our recovery tank. Also take not only the air from the line itself, but as well as the entire unit, the condensing unit here. And then once we're able to pull it out of the system, we're able to, again, go do our repairs. We've already learned how to change this fan motor right here, which is actually what rejects the heat and takes it out into the atmosphere. We've already learned how to change a Schrader valve. Next, I'm sure we're going to learn how to do some repairs inside of that air handler unit.
And how'd you learn all this? Like, how long has it taken you to get this knowledge base?
So literally a week, we learned that process, that refrigeration cycle in the very first day. That gives us basically that gives us a foundation on what we need to know and what's going on in these two units. We expanded upon that, so you can consider that as like the foundation. Yeah. Expanded upon that foundation, and once again, I'm sure you've heard the saying, once you have a good foundation, it's a lot easier to not only learn, but also build.
Did you have any prior knowledge coming into this class?
Zero.
So you knew as much as I do?
Correct. Yep. Wow. Matter of fact, I have marketing experience just like yourself. I signed up with Ingram Air as a marketer and helped them build their residential side of the business, and because I had guys going in and out and actually taking me to jobs, I just fell in love with the hands-on process being able to actually go and diagnose as well as fixing people's problems essentially. And that's pretty much why I'm here.
Within this class, what's the ratio of hands-on work to sitting and lecturing?
Literally 50-50. So half of the class we're doing book work. We're going over, like I mentioned, the refrigeration process on the board. We're using that knowledge to be able to apply to the hands-on, which is literally the other portion of the 50%.
That's awesome.